Anger in Minneapolis keeps building over the death of an unarmed black man after a white officer kneeled on his neck. The police chief says his department has contributed to a deficit of hope. George Floyd was pleading for help and said he couldn't breathe before he died. Thousands of people are demanding the officers involved be charged with murder. There's been rioting and looting, windows smashed and businesses set on fire. Minnesota's governor has activated the National Guard. One of the officers involved had dozens of past complaints against him that resulted in no disciplinary action. Jackson Proskow reports.
The streets of Minneapolis exploded in a sea of rage and grief.
No justice, no peace!
As protesters set their sights on a local police precinct, officers responded with tear gas. And as the night wore on, things only got worse. Sporadic looting broke out. Then came the fires. In the smoldering ashes, the city and an entire nation are left searching for answers.
Over the last 2 days and the emotion-ridden conflict over last night is the result of so much built-up anger and sadness.
Those minutes of horror saw 46-year-old George Floyd die in the hands of police. Floyd was arrested after being accused of using a counterfeit $20 bill. An officer knelt on his neck while he begged for mercy.
I can breathe.
By the time Floyd was loaded onto a stretcher, paramedics were unable to find a pulse.
Everybody was saying stop. I just don't understand how could 4 officers, people that's hired to protect us, how could they even let that, how could they be a part of that?
The 4 officers have been fired. There are calls, including from the city's mayor, for criminal charges.
I want to see the police, every police that do this kind of stuff, get charged with this burn.
Floyd's death has ripped open a painfully familiar wound in communities across the U.S.
We feel as if there was a knee on all of our collective necks. A knee that says, Black life does not matter.
And as protests spread across America, there is a collective sense of outrage and fear that history will continue to repeat itself. Jackson Proskow, Global News, Washington.
China has moved to assert full control over Hong Kong through a new national security law. Canada is condemning it tonight, along with the United States, Australia, and the UK, saying the legislation, which bypassed Hong Kong's parliament, threatens civil liberties and dramatically erodes Hong Kong's autonomy. China's parliament approved the bill in a landslide vote. It makes it a crime to undermine Beijing's authority in the territory. It could also see Chinese-backed security agencies set up in Hong Kong for the first time since the former British colony was handed over to China. The law sparked the first major anti-government protests in Hong Kong in months. China says it's essential to tackle growing violence and to benefit the stability and prosperity of Hong Kong, a global financial hub. Pro-democracy legislators, though, say it is the end of Hong Kong as we know it.
This marks the beginning of a sad and traumatizing era for Hong Kong, because they've practically taken away our soul being the values we've been treasuring all these years.
A standing committee of the Communist Party will now draft the legislation, and the bill is expected to become law before September.